Greed can destroy families. It can turn love into hate and blood into strangers. And when my aunt tried to steal the inheritance my parents left me, she thought I was just a helpless teenager who couldn't fight back. But she underestimated me. She thought she could outsmart me, but in the end, she lost everything while I walked away with justice. I was 17 when my parents passed away. They left me with memories, lessons, and yes, a modest inheritance. It wasn't millions, but it was enough to give me a safe start in life. A small house, some savings, and a few stocks my father had invested in. It wasn't wealth, but it was mine. My Aunt Linda, my mother's older sister, was one of those people who always thought the world owed her something. She wanted to be the center of attention, the one everyone respected, the one who controlled everything. Growing up, I noticed how she would always make snide remarks about my parents' luck, or how unfair it was that they had a house and savings while she was struggling. When my parents died, Linda swooped in like a vulture. She hugged me, wiped my tears, and said, "Don't worry, sweetheart. I'll take care of you now. You're like my own daughter." But behind that fake smile, I saw something else. Greed. Calculation. At first, I thought I was imagining it, but soon, the signs became obvious. Important documents started disappearing from my parents' files. She asked me questions about bank accounts and deeds. She even whispered with her husband when she thought I wasn't listening. "If we play this right, everything will be ours." It terrified me, but I stayed quiet. Weeks later, we went to meet my parents' lawyer. He was kind, patient, and explained everything clearly. The house, the savings, the stocks, all of it legally belonged to me. Linda had no claim. She tried to argue. She said I was too young, too irresponsible. She begged him to transfer everything to her name, but the lawyer refused. And in that moment, Linda's face changed. She gave me a look I'll never forget. Cold, angry, dangerous. From then on, living with her became a nightmare. She criticized everything I did. She locked food in cupboards. She snapped at me for wasting electricity. But the bills kept going up, not because of me, but because she had bought a new freezer stuffed with expensive meats and wine, paid for with my parents' money. One day, I opened my mother's jewelry box. Empty. The gold necklace she had promised me was gone. When I asked Linda, she smiled and said, "Don't worry, I'm keeping it safe for you." But later that week, she wore it to a family gathering. That's when I knew she wasn't just greedy. She was stealing. I wanted to scream. I wanted to snatch it back. But instead, I played along. I pretended to be weak, scared, naive. But inside, I was planning. I made copies of every legal document, the will, the deed, the bank papers. I stored digital copies with the lawyer. I even started recording Linda when she thought no one was listening. I caught her saying things like, "Once I get that house, I'll sell it and finally live the life I deserve." Day by day, I built my case. The breaking point came one evening. Linda had invited the family over for dinner. She stood there, smiling, pretending to be the caring guardian, while dropping hints that maybe she should be the one handling my inheritance. "You know how irresponsible teenagers can be," she said, her eyes on me, her voice dripping with false concern. "She doesn't know how to manage money. It would be better if I did." That night, I decided it was time. The next family gathering, I stood up before anyone could start eating. My heart was pounding, but my voice was steady. "Before we eat," I said, "there's something you all need to know." I connected my phone to the TV, and one by one, I played the recordings. Linda's voice filled the room. "Once I get that house, I'll sell it and move far away. She's too young. I'll just take everything." Gasps filled the air. Relatives stared at her in shock. Then I showed photos of her wearing my mother's jewelry. And finally, the lawyer, who I had asked to come that evening, stood up and confirmed, legally, everything belonged to me. Linda's face turned red. She stammered, denied, tried to twist her words. But it was too late. The evidence was undeniable. Her own children looked at her with shame. Her husband buried his face in his hands. The family dinner turned into her public downfall. After that night, no one trusted her again. Friends stopped visiting. Her reputation collapsed. Even her own kids refused to defend her. She had tried to steal everything and ended up with nothing. As for me, I moved back into my parents' house. Safe. Independent.
Free.
I sold some stocks, paid for college, and built a life for myself. Linda tried to call me once. She left a voicemail, her voice shaking, asking for forgiveness. But I never called back. Forgiveness is for mistakes, not for betrayal. And sometimes, the best revenge isn't destroying someone. It's letting them destroy themselves with their own greed, their own lies, their own choices. So here's the lesson. Never underestimate the quiet ones. Because the quiet ones are often the ones collecting receipts, waiting for the right moment. And when that moment comes, the truth cuts sharper than any knife. What would you have done in my place? Would you have stayed silent? Or would you have exposed her the way I did? Tell me in the comments. And remember, what goes around always comes around.